I want to share with you today tools and methods that you could easily use on the go to help you shift your paradigm and create the life that you genuinely want. I truly believe that we should live life like it's an extraordinary adventure. The paradigm that most people live in, what is the paradigm? Well, it implies that there are certain rules and boundaries that kind of guide our life, and we view our life from the paradigm that is set within us, and everyone's paradigm is different. It'll be made up of what you believe, your self-image, the routines, the habits that you move into every day, and they're different with every single human being. It's probably as different as everyone's fingerprints. So most people who have been on a personal development journey, they understand that thoughts become things. So if that's the first cause, that's the original foundation of everything. So Lawrence came up with the butterfly effect, which means in the scientific term for it was sensitive dependence on initial conditions. So the initial conditions, the initial input that you put into your thinking determines the quality of your life. So the question is, how do you improve the quality of your thinking? Well, our thinking is guided by what we believe. So it's kind of this circular thing happening. And most of our beliefs we formed at a very young age. So you might have witnessed your parents arguing about money. So then you've got this belief that money causes disruption or causes unhappiness. Or you might have had parents say to you that money doesn't grow on trees. And so you had that experience as a young person, and you came to a conclusion, and you decided at a young age that that's what you associate with the earning of money and wealth and so on. And so that is what we would call a limiting belief, because it's not the truth. And so this is the cause of most frustration in people's lives, because most people aren't aware that it's really their paradigm, their belief system, that's governing the quality of their thinking, and their thinking is causing them to feel in a certain way, putting them into a certain state of being, and that's causing them to act and behave in a certain way and giving them their results over and over. So how do you change that? Well, what I'll be doing over the coming months is I'll be breaking down what Bob Proctor, who was my mentor, helped me go from broke to financial independence in a relatively short period of time. I'm going to be giving you very simple tools, what I call paradigm shift on the go, so that you can internalize these ideas and you can work with them while you're wandering around in life. And if you want to really affect change, then I still do. I do a lot of journal work and so on, because I want to live life like it's an extraordinary adventure. So I don't just want to coast through life. I always want to go to the next level. And so every time you want to go to the next level, there's always going to be a belief that you inherited along the way that's going to kind of cause you to plateau for a bit. But it doesn't have to be that way, because you can shift it quite quickly. And so what I want to give you today is a very simple idea. Most people don't understand the value of making decisions. They don't understand the process of making decisions, because what most people do is they procrastinate. I'm guilty of it. Everyone is. But when you understand the power of decision, what happens is the decision comes before the plan. So most people are waiting for the evidence to prove that they can have what they want, then they'll decide to go after it. But that's not how we're actually set up. We're set up in this field called consciousness, and consciousness responds to your progression. And so when you make a decision to go after the thing that you genuinely want, even though you don't have the evidence of the resources to get you there, or you don't have the plan, or you don't know how, when you make the decision, what a funny thing that happens is now and it's a committed decision. It's not, I hope it's going to work. It's just a committed decision. This is what I'm going to do. When you understand how the process works, and what happens then is now you've taken a step forward, and what the God of my understanding or universe or infinite intelligence does is gives back thoughts, ideas along that path. So I want to give you a simple understanding of the science of surprise, which is really the science of change. Surprise is an interesting emotion, one of our top 7 emotions, least understood, but it has got a very unique quality to it, that when there's a spark of surprise in our lives, your parents arguing about money when you're 4 years old, and immediately your mind needs to interpret that experience. So it goes straight into searching for thoughts, or thoughts in memory, which at 4 you won't have that many, or the first convincing argument or point someone makes, you adopt that. And so now that becomes your belief. And then what happens is we have what we call a confirmation bias. So there's 3 steps here. So there's the spark, then there's the interpretation that has to happen. That's what the science of surprise tells us. It's actually the science of change, and change of the mind. And so the second step is interpretation. Then your confirmation bias kicks in and says, well, I'm going to find evidence to prove this new belief. And so that becomes your belief system on that experience in life. And it's just a perception. It's not necessarily the truth. In fact, most of it isn't, because they're thoughts and ideas of experiences that you had from an early age, with regards to relationships, finances, health, and so on. And we made all these decisions, interpretations, and you decided that those interpretations, I'm going to consent to those, and I'll adopt them as my belief. And then your confirmation bias goes to prove that idea. So when you make a new decision, so you might get to a point where you're fed up of not having enough money. So it's a common thing for most people. Fed up. You ask yourself the question, is this it? I've been there. I lost everything in a failed business in Sydney in 2005. I had to recover. And it was a journey. And so if you keep making decisions, the one decision that I made was I was going to make $1,000 a day. This in 2005 when I was broke. Didn't know how, but when I made the decision to earn $1,000 a day, then ideas stopped popping to my mind. There's a part of our brain called the RAS, the RAS, the Reticular Activating System. And what that is a filter. It only allows into our brain a filtered amount of information that's happening all around us. So when we make a decision that is at a different level to your current decision of, or current belief of what you can earn, and you say, I'm going to earn more, whatever that is, then all of a sudden you're opening up your mind to new information. So an easy example of that happening is when you decide to buy a red Hyundai Getz, and you get in your red Hyundai Getz, you're driving around the city, and all of a sudden everyone's got red Hyundai Getz. And that's because your mind, your brain, has allowed you to notice that. So when you start to make decisions at a level greater than what you believe is possible for you now you're stepping into an unknown area. But when you make the decisions, new ideas come. It also starts to show that how the whole thing works, and that when the new ideas start to come and you allow them to come, you don't try and force it, then your confidence starts to lift because you're getting new results. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen in a day, but if you start doing this on a regular basis, things start to happen more often than not. So I hope that helps. I'm going to keep coming back with more paradigm shift ideas so that you can do this on the go. And I'll probably go deeper onto the decision making, because my mentor, Bob Proctor, it was his number one thing that he talked about in our 7-step program, our 12-step program, 7 levels, our 12-step program, Thinking into Results. And it was in the first lesson. Why? Because when you make a decision, all of a sudden the resources start to show up. And that's really important to understand.